this problem is getting more intense, it's getting worse, and countries need to be responsible for their emissions.
As you know, the vice president has called climate change an existential threat. Former President Donald Trump has called it a hoax. It's very difficult to get something done when you have, half the country believing one thing and another half believing another. But the question becomes, for those folks who believe in climate change, David, but say, well, why should the United States have to cut its emissions if countries like China and India are not making any inroads in doing that? If the United States were able to, if the Democrats were able to win the White House and win control of Congress and push through some meaningful climate legislation, any little bit is good, but in the grand scheme of things, how much would that help if you have other countries, in some cases who are bigger than the United States, who are still emitting pollutants into the air?
So many good questions there, Vlad. So I think the first thing is you look at the list and you see that China is above the United States, not by a lot. So they're the biggest emitter, we shouldn't care about them. But historically, like since the industrial times and before China became this juggernaut economically, as you look at the list and you see that China is above the United States, not by a lot. So as you look at the list and you see that China is above the United States, not by a lot. So
and you see that China is above the United States, not by a lot. So
we as a country have emitted way more carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide goes up into the atmosphere and it stays there for hundreds of years. So our contribution cumulatively is much larger than anyone else's in the world. And so the election and what happens in the election and how this is dealt with, two totally different perspectives, is going to make a big difference on whether the United States continues to meet its emissions goals and its targets as we go to these meetings in Azerbaijan.
Yeah, it's incredibly important, David, and I just think that in a world where we are repeating over and over again images and showing images of a former president at McDonald's and whether or not somebody grew up in a middle-class household, well, this is something that is going to be my child's problem, your children's problems, everybody's children's problem. It really is disconcerting to see this report. Thank you for reporting on it, David. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.